Hey guys, so this is definitely going to be a different type of video. So I just got home, and I've been planning this video out, and it's just like a come smoke with me, trauma edition. So I actually wanted to just, come on here and just share my trauma through my life, things that stuck with me that I feel like definitely kind of weren't good in my eyes, and just kind of share, what's, you know, what makes me me, I guess, and what I've been through. No one needs to do this, but I kind of got a little bit inspired by like the videos where everyone's like putting stuff in the pot and sharing their trauma stories. So I kind of just wanted to share mine. And if you're just like, why are you guys putting this on the internet? I don't know. We're gonna die tomorrow. We could die today. Who knows? Just some people like to um, kind of hear what other people been through. Some people like to relate to other people, and I will be smoking and talking. So definitely gonna take some hits. My baby's charged here, so let me take my first hit. I also took an edible, so we'll see how long that takes to hit. But hopefully the video's not extremely long. Um, Basically, we're gonna start when I was a little child, and we'll just go through the different parts of my family because I have divorcee parents. Didn't really affect me. Happened when I was young. It was a very short deal. It wasn't very serious. I'm gonna go ahead and take another hit. Feel free to smoke along. I'm smoking some cookies and cream. It's just dispensary stuff. So let's start when I was young, when I was just a little child, as far as I can remember from my point of view. Um, let's see. So yeah, my parents divorced, whatever. My dad kind of just disappeared for a while. Um, as a kid, I was like stuck between my two sides of the family. They both had different opinions, different rules, different things to follow. On my dad's side, they were very strict, very religious. Went to church every weekend. It was Seventh Day Adventist, so we didn't go to church on Sundays. We went to church on Saturdays and Fridays, but I only went one day or the other. It didn't really stick with me. I didn't feel connected to it. Not my deal. Um, Y'all do you, I'll do me. But there was, a lot of that growing up, so this does play a little bit of a part with some things that are said later. Um, I was basically raised by my grandmothers. My dad's side has one, my mom's side has one. Didn't know really my biological grandfathers, I've never met them. I did have a step grandfather on my dad's side. It was a very weird situation because I was told, like, at first, like, when I went over there, my grandma would have to be there and I couldn't be alone with my grandpa. I eventually did beg to like be able to go over there because I did enjoy going over to my grandparents' house, just to actually, have people that kind of cared about me and looking into this. So, I guess to break it down so we can kind of get the suspects in order. Um, my grandmothers, I honestly loved them when I was a kid. When I grew up, I started seeing more of, how kind of, screwed a little bit they are. Um, my grandmother on my dad's side definitely was very controlling. There's a lot of things we couldn't do. So as a kid in the car, we had to be quiet. We couldn't play too loud. I would be with my cousins and such. We were only listening to like Christian music, like kid music, the entire ride. Eventually, like me and my sister, which at first we didn't even hang out with each other after like the initial like initially, so like my dad broke up, or my mom broke up with my dad, and then like years later he got with my sister's mom, and they were kind of serious, so I would go over there as a little kid. I don't remember that much because I was very, very little. So definitely probably toddler age, definitely very young. However, my dad was a huge druggie. So there's a big period of my life where I just don't remember him. I don't know if my brain just, completely wiped him out, but there is like a bunch of years I don't remember him, and he eventually just showed up again because I would go over my grandparents' house on his side, and he wasn't there, of course, so I honestly forgot he existed. And then he popped up, and then my grandma started making rules that I could only go over when my dad's there. My dad has to be there. She has to get a hold of my dad to see if I can come over. Dogs are playing, sorry about that. But it was like weird stuff like that. And then there's a bunch of secrets in like both of my family. And so I could only go over there if my dad was there. And I honestly thought he was a stranger. I didn't really know how to feel about him because I didn't have an attachment to him at all. So I was forced to do things with him, go out and like my grandma would pay for everything because my dad was a deadbeat. Um, he couldn't hold a job. He was heavy into drugs, and that was the guy that my grandmother was like, "You're gonna take care of your daughter." Funny enough, yeah, half the time he wouldn't show up. My grandma wouldn't be able to get in touch with him, so couldn't go over. And eventually, my younger sister was able to come over when I guess she was old enough, because like her mom was a little iffy about her being over my dad's side of the family for very good reasons. I guess to also give some events just to kind of shoot in there, with my dad being a druggie and all. He did take she used to be since they're divorced now, but my ex stepsister took my ex stepsister to a crack house. And my ex stepmom caught him multiple times doing like crack, smoking out of crack pipes, he's been caught in action. So he doesn't have a really good track record. I also remember as a very small child, I had a little purse, and I would just carry my little things with it. It had a little J on it, and I would take it over to my grandma's. And when he started coming around, and I remember that like this is the one and only time because I stopped taking it, but I had some coins in my purse, like some dollar coins that my other grandma gave me, and I had like a whole bunch of those in my purse. I went to bed, my dad was there at my grandma's house. My grandma's there. Well, she worked honestly a lot. And my grandpa was there. And there's just like a playroom that we would also sleep in. So I go to sleep. My dad goes to sleep. I wake up. My dad's gone. Nobody's there. And I look in my purse and all my coins are gone. I was definitely very young, like either early elementary or preschool or something. I was very young. And I think I was around 7-ish because I did have a Nokia cell phone at the time. And I think, I was 7 because my mom didn't trust them either, which makes sense. So she wanted me to at least have an emergency way that I can like contact like family members if I need it. And I remember waking up, looking around for my dad. I opened up the door. The door had an alarm on it, but I was 7. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't find anybody. So I opened up the door and I don't see anybody outside. So I close it. I set the alarm off. I didn't even know. I'm looking around, like my money's gone, my dad's gone, and I call my grandma and I go, "Dad's gone." And she's just like, "What?" And it's like, "Yeah, he's gone. There's nobody here." I open the door and my grandma was just like, "Okay, we'll stay inside, don't do anything." And it was just like very off-putting because I'm just like, what happened? Like, how did he get out of the, house? I guess he knew the code or whatever. And you know who didn't come back? My dad. So he definitely took my money and brought some drugs, got high, and just didn't come back. So we go and do the ride home, and I tell my grandma my money's gone, and my grandma's just like, oh, like she didn't admit that my dad took it or anything. She didn't say who took it, just kind of just kept quiet. That that is the state that she's in. She's not gonna help, not gonna stand up to him. And there was actually times where I've been in the car with her and my dad's just full blown out yelling at her, and she's just taking it. And then when we're in the car rides alone with me and my grandma, then she would talk bad about him and everything. And she would talk bad about everybody. So, like, anytime we were in the car with her, or I was in the car with her, she would just talk bad about all the family. Like, my aunt and uncle and them. Didn't like their decisions, didn't like our mom's decisions. Just that was what I grew up, just the negativity. And then eventually my sister would come over as well, and we could only come over when my dad was there. So a lot of the times we would get our bags packed. My grandma is giving us the time when she would be done working. She's like a in-home nurse type thing, gave baths to like elderly people and stuff like that. Make sure to take their medication, stuff like that. I've been with her on the job. She would sometimes take me with her, and I would just like sit in a room or sit in the car or something sometimes when needed. But back to the point, when my sister started coming around as well, like we packed and ready to go. We get our call from grandma. This is the time that she would be able to pick us up, but then she'd call us and be like, I can't get a hold of your dad, so you guys cannot see each other and I have to stay home. That happened so many times. We just stopped getting our hopes up because we never knew when we would be able to see each other again, which eventually led to me going over there instead, over my sister's house instead, which got controversial later because they moved a few times and there was a whole issue when eventually they moved in with our grandpa, who was a pedophile. So, well, he got like a 15-year-old pregnant, so that's a whole nother thing. So it was a lot. There's a lot of stuff growing up that happened, and that's just basically my dad's side. Drugs, disappointment. I mean, we had some good times when he wasn't there. Like, we went on a Disney cruise when I was 9. That was fun. We weren't rich or anything, but they were really strict about like not spending money and using stuff that has been used and not buying new things. They were those type of people. So they saved and then splurged for vacations. We did go to like Florida and Texas and did things. We did vacations and stuff as a family there, which was fun. A lot without my dad. So like a lot of my family pictures, oh yeah, he's not there. So yeah, that of course is, a bit traumatic, but at first I didn't have any attachment to him, and eventually he just became an obstacle. He's also, his personality, he's very narcissistic. So a lot of things were about him and how good he is and like how better he is than people when he's a deadbeat. Like, make it make sense. And talking about how smart he is, and I don't know if you guys have been around a narcissist, but man, it's not fun. Like, one of the traumatic experiences as well that sticks with me is that like we went bowling. My grandma gave money, of course. We went bowling, me, my sister, and him. The entire time he was just, rubbing in our faces how he was winning, and like we were kids. We were just there to have fun. It eventually wasn't fun because it was our dad, trying to be competitive with his 2 little girls that, were just out bowling. That's what all it was supposed to be, but it turned out to be, how he could rub in his face how better he is. Great experience. Hated it. Hated it, kind of made me hate bowling later, but, try to get better at controlling my emotions there, because I do kind of get, like, in the slumps whenever I go bowling for some reason, and I eventually just quit. But, that's that side of the family. We're gonna get into the later years where they do come up again, because we just go throughout our years until basically I graduated school, and I'm gonna get to that in a moment. But let's go just a little bit to my mom's side of the family. Was my mom's side of the family any better? Not really. So my mom, she was also kind of never around. I guess when I was younger, yes, but she liked to go out a lot. Where she would go, she wouldn't let me know. I would try to call her sometimes and ask where she is. None of my business. So it's like, I'm not sure where she went. She could have just been hanging with dudes or whatever, but she was gone a lot, which left me to stay with my grandma on my mom's side. Reoccurring theme there. So my grandma on my mom's side would basically take care of me, and even like later on, I invited her over after becoming an adult over to my apartment or whatever. She even mentioned how she was basically my mom because she's the one who raised me and took care of me. And that is the parent that I basically was around the most. So my grandma was like every other grandma basically, or I guess sweet loving mom. And she worked at a hospital, so she was gone a lot too. So there was times where I spent a lot of time alone, don't open any doors, stay inside. I had two older siblings, 7 years older and 6 years older. Half the time they would honestly sneak out the house or just leave, and I would just be there, to be honest. Or they'll sometimes take me with them, with their sketchy ass friends, and go around the neighborhood, which was also a little weird. But yeah, there's an age gap. A lot of times they were put in charge of looking after me. Otherwise, my grandma would be home. She came home at like midnight. She would always bring me like a little treat, which my guilty pleasure was she would bring me these breads from the hospital. And they were kind of like knotted and they were very shiny. She would bring me one every single night. Not healthy, I know, but I guess even she was telling me how I would knew exactly what time she would get home and I would open the door for her, and she didn't know how I understood what time it was, and like, you know, understood like to open the door and let her in and everything. Like, I guess I was just really young at that time, but I kind of like vaguely remember going down and waiting for her and then getting my bread and eating my bread every night. And that was like a little pastime that I actually enjoyed. Um, in that same like house as well is when she also had to have heart surgery. So at one point she, I guess, was having heart attacks at work. People were telling her to, get it checked. That's not good. And I actually haven't took a hit, but I probably need to take one. I also took an edible, so we're seeing which one hits first. But I'm gonna get this turned on again. But yeah, when she went through heart surgery, I was told not to go see her, leave her alone. She's resting, and that took a long time for her to recover. So she was really, the one who took care of me, the one I liked talking to. She always liked watching movies. We would watch like horror movies, comedy movies, black comedy movies, just like a lot of those. And my favorite were just the horror movies. I just like watching with my grandma. And there was none of that anymore. So, there left like my older siblings, which didn't really like me. Like, my older sister, she even admitted that she would bully me as a kid and push me over when I was little. Now, I don't remember her pushing me over, but I do remember the bullying and stuff. She would also try to play school with me as well and teach me how to write my name and stuff like that. I also remember a time when like she was watching me or whatever, and she was like playing around and she was going too far, and as a kid I didn't really know how to like, I guess communicate that with her, but I was telling her to stop and she wouldn't stop. So Cinnamon's deciding to butt in, so I guess I'll take another hit. So yeah, my sister was going too far, and I was telling her to stop, and she wouldn't stop, and she's just being too silly, and I didn't like it. So I guess I hit her arm, and then she hit me back, and then she hit me hard. I'm gonna come back when he stops. Do it again. No, he dropped it. Okay. So yeah, my sister went too far and she hit me, and I remember that experience because it was just like I just wanted her to stop. She wasn't listening, and you know what? I guess I got hit for it. She also did tease me and bully me in ways as well that I remember. Specifically, I had very bad skin issues and I was very sensitive to the outside. No one got me like tested for anything or like figured out what it was, which is just, I'm pretty sure, really bad allergies. Which I'm sure is really bad allergies. But, you know, no one actually figured it out. So, like, when I would go outside, and, like, when we would go to amusement parks and stuff, I would notice, like, I'd get hot, and then my skin just started being very irritated, and, you know, I just felt like, I was itching everywhere, and my sister would just call me itchy, itchy, scratchy, scratchy, and you know what? There was like no help on either side. So I kind of suffered from that a lot too. That was traumatic because honestly, it just felt like sometimes I was burning, sometimes I was itching. It just didn't feel good just going outside. And on my dad's side, I told my grandma as well. And you know what she said? It's just in your head. You're not feeling like you're burning and itching. It's just in your head. So that was honestly a bit traumatic. Experiencing like anytime we went out just burning and itching and no one cared. So I think it just eventually just got used to it. I do feel it every now and then. It, you know, comes back and I start feeling very irritated when I'm outside and it's hot. But you know, it's just in my head. I wanted it. I wanted to, you know, make this up. Which apparently is just who I am. I love making problems, which even on my mom's side, when I would like let her know things that I think is weird about me or my body or whatever, she'd just be like, stop trying to find things wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Which I bet she believes even now, which I've kind of opened up with her as well, because I do have a feeling like speculation and from other, you know, comments. I do feel like I'm probably on the spectrum, which, I mean, I know a lot of people are coming out and it's a thing, because honestly, it's hereditary. And you know what people aren't doing? Getting checked for it. So all the people in the old heads not getting checked for it, spreading it around, even ADHD, spreading it around, no one's getting checked for it. That's probably why a lot of people are, you know, actually becoming more either hyperactive or like, you know, just their attention's not very there. It's because, you know, it's just spreading it around. I just putting that out there. But I do feel like I definitely am a bit on the spectrum. Also, when I was younger, I very, very rarely talked. I could hardly speak because I didn't know how to speak to people. So, teachers, sure. You have a good day? Yeah. You know, all right, move on. That's a conversation with a teacher because it's just a question and a simple answer. Which as a kid, yep, that's it. That's all I would do. And according to my mom, I didn't have any development issues. I was, you know, fine. Yet I couldn't make friends. And when I did, I was really just there because I didn't really know how to speak to a lot of people. So even like this is early elementary school, making friends was very hard. I would, on the recess, I'd be playing by myself, doing things by myself because I didn't know how to make friends, didn't know how to, you know, go up to people and join in. So basically, I eventually just became a loner because I didn't know how to have conversations. I could do things in school like normal. I was very smart, got the honorary awards and all that stuff. Until later on, I eventually get burned out, of course, and then start making bad grades. But, you know, just a normal person, you know, nothing that they could have done earlier in my life to help me later on in my life. This is actually going to be a long video. I'm going to try to, I might cut some parts, we'll see. But just to also give that fact about me, because I do think I am on some kind of spectrum and possibly have an attention disorder, because there are things that were hard and are still hard for me, and no one noticed nor cared, pretty much. So it was very hard for me to talk to people, and when I would try to talk to my mom, she basically, when she was home, what she liked to do was drink. She would drink some wine and everything, and I would, go try to talk to my mom, and basically a lot of times she would tell me that I was annoying and to get away from her. That was a lot of times as well. She was always doing something, always talking on the phone or whatever. There weren't any sit down like dinners or meals with my family. It would be like my grandma would cook food or my mom would cook food, and it would just be on the stove. You'll just have to know when they're cooking or whatever. Or if you're asleep and they cooked, it's been sitting there. So we didn't have any like family sit downs like that. We would early on have like family seafood nights. Those were good. That's not trauma. Those were fun. And let me circle back there. But yeah, talking to my mom, very hard. She didn't like talking to me. She was very upset a lot of the time as well, and would yell at us for basically no reason. And then I also had a younger brother that came in eventually as well, and he even was part of it, where we're just hearing her yelling at something someone did, but it's like, what did we do? She's just yelling for no reason. Like, she wasn't good with any of my older siblings as well. She was a very young mom, so she got pregnant at like 14, and the year after she had my older sister, she had my brother. So really, I also feel like it's one of those things where she was just too young to have kids, and just didn't really know how to mother very well. Because my older sister, oof, like, I even witnessed it. Like, she, of course, went out, snuck out, went to parties and stuff, and did all that. And I also witnessed one day, my mom and my sister got in a fight, and I guess my sister probably tried to defend herself or something from like getting hit, because they would hit my older siblings. I wouldn't get hit, because you know what I would do? Stay quiet and go in my room and not talk to anybody, because I was annoying and no one wanted to talk to me, except like my grandmother. And so like, yeah, I noticed I did catch my sister, getting like headlocked or something by my mom, and my mom was like, "Don't you ever put your hands on me ever again." And she called the cops on her, and my sister got arrested, and my sister went to live with her dad until she turned 19, and she got pregnant. So that's like the next time I saw her again was when that came around. But that kind of also just like, showed me I better not do anything, or that could be me. So I was basically come home, stay in my room, play with my toys, play my video games, and that was my life for a lot of years. Which of course I'd go over every weekend. I'd go over my grandma's when I could, when the dad incident, didn't happen. And then I would hang out with my grandma on my mom's side, and those were good times. Those are the good times I remember. My mom, also during that time, my family owns a dance studio on my mom's side. I was in dance for a few years until my mom took me out, and the reason I was really heartbroken, because I actually loved going there. As a kid, though, it was like the silly dance videos, like the easy dances and stuff. But I loved going there. My family was there. My favorite cousin was there, which we don't even talk ever anymore. But we would hang out there. It was a great experience until my mom took me out, and I kept pestering, like, why did you take me, out of dance? and she told me that my family doesn't love me, and that's why she took me out. Which is crazy because I also remember that when, because I, have been alone a lot, they did try to, like, put me with different family members every now and then as well. So I've been over multiple family members' houses, basically, because I think there was, like, no one, to take care of me, I think is what was going on. So I've been over, my great aunts, and my favorite cousin was there, and those would be good times. Stop doing that because couldn't go anymore. I go over one of my actual uncles, not great uncles, and those were good times as well. Played the PlayStation 2. It's kind of in a not the greatest neighborhood, but I remember a dog and everything. Those were good times. Those happened every now and then, and he also took me out for Halloween. And every Halloween, I would always look forward to that because, like, I didn't have anyone else to, take me trick or treating, and he would, and it kind of almost felt like a father figure, for the most part. But he wasn't like, you know, I mean, even now he says I can come over with him and my aunt, and we can just hang out anytime. Just gotta give him a call. So I think definitely he was kind of more of my father figure in my life, which were good memories as well. And I eventually stopped going over his house because I don't know, I think I just grew out of that. But that one wasn't my mom's, so I'll take that. Um, I'm starting to ramble now because I think my chocolate is hitting, so my thoughts are also getting jumbled. So we're just gonna be bouncing around the trauma until we get to like the biggest parts. So a lot of my trauma is emotional though, because I avoided the beatings, which, oof, they with my older brother, they would just find all the things. I'm sorry, I'm clicking stuff. They would find different things to just hit him with because whoopings were a thing and it wasn't illegal, so hit him with whatever you can find, wooden boards and stuff. I've seen it, and if I stay quiet and I do not do anything, that won't be me, was the whole thing. And I lost, being able to be with my family that I loved. I lost being in dance school because my family doesn't love me, which I did also like call them and ask if that's true. Is that true? My mom said you guys don't love me, and they of course said it's not true. So it's like there's something going on there with my mom as well, because she doesn't like that side of the family. But my grandma, which is her mom, and of course those are her sisters and stuff, there's no issue. So I don't know really what the big drama is because I'm not told anything because my mom doesn't share anything with me. So it's really, she's also kind of a stranger as well, okay? Because I'm just seeing my eyes through, this woman who basically just comes home, drinks, and that's really like that's it. And that's who she was, or she's just out hanging with people or doing something and I can't know what it is. So it was a lot as well, me kind of building my own character, trying to keep myself busy. So video games were really a big part of my life because it was like an escape, because what else am I going to do? Playing with my toys, play video games, and that was a lot of my life, honestly. Going to school wasn't fun. I only had a very few friends. I remember I tried to be friends with a big group, like not a big group of people, but a few girls, and they knew some guys as well. And this is when we used landlines, and I knew how to do a six-way call. So I would hold the six-way calls, and we would get everyone on the line, and I would know how to speak with people because I didn't know how to have like actual conversations. So I would get everyone on the line, and I would just be quiet. I would just listen to what everyone's talking about because I didn't know how to speak really and have conversations. I can answer simple questions, but that's really all you could get out of me. When I would go over like Christmases and everything over my family's, I would literally just sit there until my favorite cousin would get there, and I would like not like barely talk to anybody, answer questions, and everyone just call me, quiet and everything, and I just sit there, and that was literally me, like just a boring board. Which later on I did kind of like look up how to have conversations. I started like mimicking other people's conversations, and that's kind of how I can actually talk to people now. Which it really helps when like the like media and YouTube comes out and everything, because then you can just kind of like listen to people talk, and then you kind of get how to like go back and forth, even if it's just kind of like stealing their personality and just talking how they talk, just to kind of like, because that's probably what they like. It's still something better than nothing. But a lot of my years in school, I was just very quiet, even outside of school, very quiet, just until I was actually able to conversate. People would ask why I'm so quiet, and I would just be like, I don't know. I don't know who I am. I was just the weird kid. So both families were very rocky. I had dad who's like never there doing drugs, and a mom who would just be yelling and just, you know, just they're both not emotionally stable, that's for sure. So that's kind of my background, my family, and who I grew up with for the most part. So let's get back into the trauma. I guess I'm just gonna hit some points because at this point I'm kind of just like all over the place. um, let's go to one of the big ones. So after graduating, school, my grandma on my dad's side, well, not really. It started with my dad. So my dad asked what I was going to do for college. I didn't know what I was going to do for college, you know? So I said, I'm not really going to go for college. I don't know, what I even go for college for. Don't really have like a career in mind. It is what it is. If I have one, I'll go. However, he decided to talk to my grandma, which is his mom, the very religious one and everything. And she was like trying to bribe me to go to college. I was like, yeah, go to college, I'll buy you a car, I'll pay for it. You want to do cosmetology? I know you're talking about that. This is actually a big jump. There's actually some stuff before this as well that's traumatic. But I'm just pulling up memories now. And she's just like, and I'll pay for you, and you come stay with me. And it's just like, no, I don't know what I'm gonna go to college for, so I'm not gonna go to college. And then I received a text message after, and her text message was like, I am so done with this girl. I'm about to delete her from my phone. You talk to her. I'm not talking to her anymore. Okay? So I get that message, and that was supposed to be for my dad, of course, not me. And so I messaged her back, and I'm just like, hey, so you meant to message that to my dad, and you know what? I am going to cut both of you off because I am done with you two. And she decided to reply, no, you misunderstood. I didn't say any of that. And it's just like, yes, you did. You sent it in the message by accident. That was meant for my dad. And you know what? I am done with you guys. Don't talk to me again. And I cut them off. Eventually later on, I said, sure, I mean, whatever. Forgive you guys, I guess. But then I just still didn't talk to them. For good reasons, because I know that my grandma, even though she's saying those things, especially when she is lying, saying she didn't say it, she's definitely bad mouthing me behind my back, most likely. And honestly, I don't regret it because honestly, screw them. You don't have to keep family just because you're related by blood. Because if they don't treat you well, are they really family? You can make your own family. It's... And then, like, especially over the years, like with my dad stealing money and her protecting him and everything, it's just, she wasn't for me. And then there's also another time that she like told me that she only thinks I come over because I want stuff. I only talk to her when I want stuff. When I actually genuinely enjoyed going over my grandparents' house, I wanted to be there instead of home, like alone when everyone's working and I have like no one to talk to. I enjoyed going over and spending time with my grandma, but you know what? I'm just a greedy bitch who just wants to mooch off my grandma, and you know what? That was more reason I just stopped talking to her. It's like, fine. That's how you feel about me. I'm not gonna ask for anything. I'm not gonna like be around you because I don't want to be, thought of in that light. And definitely wanted to also prove I don't need her for anything, which I don't. Um, so it was, my life is a crazy ride. I think also just being told like I'm annoying definitely kind of played into my self-esteem. So like always following what my grandparents have to say because I didn't want to be, this annoying bad child. Definitely played a part in my personality growing up, and how hard it is to talk to people as well, and just not being able to open up with people. I think that definitely played a part with that. Um, More drama on my dad's side. I'll throw one in here. I got a phone call from my grandma, and I heard like crying in the background, and my grandma called me and told me that my dad tried to kill himself. Or sorry, I mean, this isn't even gonna get monetized anyways, but my dad tried to unalive himself, and that it was my fault that he wanted to do so. So, not only am I like this person who's just, so horrible because I'm not going to college later on. That was after I cut him off, of course. But I also am the reason my dad didn't want to live anymore. That's me. That's my fault. So, yeah. More reasons not to talk to either of them. They are both so screwed up and they don't even know it. And that my grandma on that side also got into multiple car accidents. Like, whew, there was one time I was in, so she, yeah, there was one time I was in the van with her and she was driving and she takes out her phone and she's just reading it while driving on the highway. And that's how I know, like, and she always works a lot. She works way too much. That's how I know she most likely caused these accidents because it was multiple accidents, okay? And one of them was very fatal to where they had to like take her organs out and everything. I didn't go see her at all because I'm just, someone who just wants her money. I am someone who she wants to cut out of her phone and whatever, her life or whatever. But nope, didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Nope, I didn't say any of that. I am someone who just basically is doing everything she is against. So, and yeah, I'm also the reason that my dad wants to unalive himself. So yeah, that one stuck with me. And that one, honestly, I'm just like, wow, this is supposed to be my family. This is the people that are supposed to share the same blood with. Yeah. um Not worth my time, not worth my emotions. And eventually, after cutting them off, I rarely saw anybody else on that side of the family. Some of them I still have on like Facebook, whatever, so I'll see everything now and then, or the comment and say love me, like my aunt. She basically treated me like a mother, and she always wanted a daughter, wasn't able to have any. Had like four boys, so I was basically the daughter to her. So she definitely tried to be in my life a lot, and I don't blame her for anything, because also my grandma was talking about her too. Did not like her decisions as well. Um, let's see. So on my mom's side, I definitely felt alone a lot. I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel like she didn't did anything with me. And it was like middle school, I confronted her about it. And I kept confronting her about it and telling her how like I don't feel like she gives me attention. Doesn't feel like you love me. Like it doesn't seem like you care about me at all. And of course I would just get some, get away, annoying, whatever. And then eventually I had I had like this point, and I was just like, you know what? It You wouldn't even care if I unalived myself, wouldn't you? Because it doesn't seem like you care about me at all. So what if I just go die? And she pulled me into her car and started crying. It was like, don't ever do that, da 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 da. And she tried to like basically say that she cared about me or whatever. But you know what happened after that? Nothing. We didn't get closer. She didn't put any more effort to, be a mom and ask about my day or anything. It was like proving a point. Like, you're not, you're around, but you're not being a mother. And she definitely was like too young of a mother too. So she definitely didn't know how to do finances, because we eventually became really broke. And there was a time when she tried to, like, I guess she hurt herself at work and then tried to get disability for it. And instead of, continuing to work, she completely just, stopped working, and we eventually didn't have a home, so we stayed with my grandma. This because my grandma eventually went to her own place, so we did split. This is when we split. So we stayed with my grandma, but my grandma also had my uncle staying there and my great uncle staying there. So we would be sleeping on the floor in the living room, stuff like that. Didn't have our own rooms, and didn't have basically any privacy or anything. And it it was just like, this is how like living with my mom is. As soon as my grandma leaves, we're homeless basically. And then eventually my grandma actually goes to a senior apartment because it's what she could afford. She retired and everything, that's what she could afford. Renting houses by herself was more expensive. So she went to senior apartments and couldn't take us with her. So we were able to stay for like a little before we had to leave, and they would kick us out because we had to like show our ID and everything, and there's always someone at the door letting people in and out because it's in a very bad neighborhood. And so after that, like, we had to, go somewhere else. So we were just hopping around. We went to my great aunt's place, who's now deceased, rest in peace. But went in there. Again, we didn't have our own rooms or anything. I think what was also kind of upsetting is like they let me sleep in, like, I don't know how he was related, but it was like a little kid, and I think maybe that was her nephew or something. I don't know. But my great aunt let me sleep in there, and I remember like being on the floor and the kid coming in and it's like, this is my room. And I just felt so sad because like it's just like I don't want to be here, but there's like nowhere else to go. Like, and everyone else was like sleeping in the living room, and it's just there wasn't much space. And eventually she was able to get Section 8 and still wasn't working. This is the school I graduated from in this area, though. I went to 3 different high schools, by the way, because I also suffered greatly from depression, but no one to talk to, no one to do anything. So, like, we get into the Section 8 house, and this is the school I graduate from. This is where I made the most friends that I mean, we don't talk or hang out anymore, so were they really friends? I don't know. Um, oh my gosh, this is getting long. But yeah, I went through a really big depression, especially like when I was around 16. Um, and even before that, because like when I went to this, it was like kind of like a college prep school, started at grade 8. I went there, and at grade 9 is when I decided to drop out just because it just was very depressing. Like, I didn't have any motivation to work. I didn't like school. Um, it's just like I didn't know what I was working for. I didn't find any enjoyment, any goals, or anything in it. So I made my grades so low that they kicked me out, and then I had to go back to regular public school. That public school was also, yeah, so when we hopped around as well. um we went also to with my sister, my older sister, as well, and we stayed there for a bit. But then she, of course, wanted to move out to somewhere else, and then that's when, like, my mom was just like, she kicked us out and left us on the streets, da 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 da. I mean, we took up too much of their life as well. It's like, it was a lot. Okay, and these are not exactly all in order, but um being homeless is fun. That's all I can say. Having your own place is great. I would never want to put that on anybody, even like my own children. Like, I would never. I don't even have children. I mean, I have doggy children, but I would never put that through that. I would work myself off to make sure we had everything we needed, for sure. But yeah, back to like the whole school deal, and I'm actually gonna take another hit soon. Yeah. So, in Section 8, school I graduated from, da 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 da. That's honestly when things started getting better. So, after, like, all that, that's honestly where life started feeling pretty good. At 16, I was able to get my first job at Subway. I've been trying since I was 14 to get a job. No one hired me. I even tried McDonald's, and it was finally Subway who hired me at 16. So, good things were coming up. Mom still kind of hold herself up. Didn't talk to me. It was whatever. I eventually got driver's ed, learned to drive as well. And it was honestly a good time, because like I had my own room and everything. I would play like Fallout New Vegas, and like I spent so many hours on that. And I actually started making a few friends in school, and everything was kind of getting good. I did get a very traumatic boyfriend, and this is part of the trauma as well. Wasn't my first boyfriend, but was my final high school boyfriend. Let's say that. And dude was so insecure, and he thought I was like cheating on him all the time, which not a fan of. Just break up with a person. Seriously. Don't waste each other's time. Thought I was cheating on him. Basically kind of made me believe that everything was my fault, that I'm making the relationship bad. I kind of like, I thought this was like a more serious relationship, so it was definitely something I wanted to on to. And I went to make things right, and there were several times where we like broke up and got together, and he even accused, like, at the time I had like a gay friend, different situation now, and he accused me of like dating him. It's just like, not even interested in me, okay? And it's just like so silly that I wasted my time on that, because like he even went so far as to put like trackers on my phone and an app to see all my messages and who I'm texting, and he did all of that. And he even like wouldn't let me walk around school by myself. He had to meet me at each of my classes and escort me. So this is like the first time I've ever experienced an abusive relationship, because everyone else was like just flings, didn't last long, I moved, whatever. And on this guy, I thought, oh, we're gonna graduate and be a thing. But after all that, and being like told I'm the reason everything is screwed up. I realized my self-worth because honestly, after the final breakup, and I was like, and he tried to get back with me after graduating because he felt so bad because I didn't show up to graduation and he thought about me. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to get back with you. I'm done with you. We're done. And he blew up and called me a whore, a slut, a bitch, blah, 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 blah. Of course, slandered me and everything. But I realized my worth and I was like, I am worth more than that. Until I got to my next boyfriend with the same exact name, and this is why I'm not gonna date any guys with his name ever again. Also, I'm in a long-term relationship right now, but yeah. So that was also a bit traumatic. I mean, kind of taught me, oh, okay, well, that's what abusive relationship was. I guess if I want to, let's just get the relationships out of the way. Let's see, a few years after graduation, let's say I was 19, I did go ahead and date someone who was much older than me. We went to the same job together, and he was an alcoholic. I didn't really, know the whole ins and outs of what was going to go down. But definitely also was like bipolar or something for sure, undiagnosed. Even like talked to his parents as well. And I'm like, he's been doing this ever since he was a kid. Crazy mood swings, getting angry for no reason, being happy one moment and unhappy the next, and just blowing up. Apparently, yes, they admitted that, yeah, we didn't do anything about it. We just let it happen. So, of course, he would get drunk all the time, and every single day there was something I did wrong. And it was like also one of the things I wanted to prove, wrong. Like, we could make it, we could be a couple. Like, there were happy moments. I am always the one, I feel like, with the reins on relationships. I'm always the one, like, planning, taking care of everything, doing events, doing vacations. That is me. But I did all of that, and it wasn't enough. I did so many things, and it wasn't enough. And I knew my worth. Like, I knew I shouldn't be with this guy, but I just felt like I didn't want to, break up and then feel like I ruined this guy's life. And he's the type of guy who even, like, said that he was going to kill himself before he met me. Yeah. Or unalive. Oh, I'm not getting paid for this. Anyways. But, it felt like I dated the same guy twice, except one, of course, was much older, and one was much younger, and one was an alcoholic, and also, yeah, the high school one did also call me and say he was going to unalive himself too. So it was like a theme, and they both had the exact same name, and that is when I was like, no, never again, never, don't date guys with his name. I'm not gonna say the name just out of privacy, but both of those were very just like a waste of time, energy, effort. When I broke up with the older one, he threw a tantrum, threw my paper towel holder, and left. And you know what he did? A few moments later, he came back in, and it was like, I have nowhere else to go. so it was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. We'll just, share this place until the lease is up, then we're moving out, and we're not gonna be together, So that was the whole thing. We really pretty much was very separated, and I tried different jobs. I like left the job and everything and tried different jobs, had different hours, and just spent as much time out as I could than being there until the lease was over and moved out. And I was like, oh, we can do like a friends with benefits type thing. And you know what? I didn't even do that because I had on Tinder and I found and I started dating and stuff, so I just kind of gave that up. But yeah, relationship wise, those two were a bit traumatic, and that's why I'm at the point where, like, if I see any signs like that, I'm done. We're done. That's it. Because I'm not staying around. I'm not sticking around anymore. Um, yeah, so I know my life's not very crazy because I wasn't beat, stabbed, shot as a child, but I feel like a lot of my life it was just like emotional abuse because that is how you get me, I guess, is my emotions. Um, yeah. I'm gonna smoke a little bit more. Yep. Let me think. What else has been traumatic? Oh, I guess also after I cut off my like dad and grandma, um, they were basically trying to brainwash my younger sister and tell her that um, she like I am like being possessed by the devil, so that's why I'm acting this way. Don't believe anything she says because it I have the devil inside me and stuff like that, which I'm just like, oh my gosh. That's what they're telling my sister. They're basically just trying to brainwash her and kind of put her against me. Um, my sister is a whole other thing. She's been through her own like traumatic story as well. And she was just really hooked on my dad. Like she wanted to be daddy's little girl. I didn't. And you know what? My dad wanted to give me more attention because I didn't want any attention from him. So he didn't give any attention to my sister, and that was the whole thing as well. Because I didn't want that man's attention. Like, leave me alone. You only care about yourself. um, and it's just like I feel like it would have been very nice to have a normal family. So everyone who does have a normal family, cherish that because whew, like seeing people and my friends with like moms and dads and everything's happy, it was beautiful and I was happy for them. And it's just like I really wish I could experience that. Um, it just made everything harder, just not having a support system. I thought my grandma on my mom's side would be like a support system because I would tell my um, grandparents, how I feel about home and everything. Um, I messaged my grandma on my dad's side before, and my mom, I don't know how she found out, but she found out. I don't know if my grandma reached out to her or something. And then my mom got upset and she went to my room and she's like mad at me. And she was like telling me that I better not turn out like my older brother and sister. Um, or she's gonna put me up for adoption. She actually said those words to me. And it's just like, really? Just because I'm sharing my experience and you're not happy with that experience, you want to put me up for adoption. If I turn out like my older siblings. Um, so then, don't say anything to that grandparent. I tried to talk to my grandma on my mom's side. Every single time I told her something, she would go straight to my mom. And then eventually my mom was told me to just stop talking to her, do not contact my grandma at all. Um, Basically try to cut me off from her too. And I also kind of showed me that I can't trust her either. Because if I talk to her, I get yelled at by my mom. Because, you know, because I have feelings. And they're not being heard. So, yeah, I'm a horrible person, is what went down. So, that side, of course, after I'm adult, they want to come back in my life, They they want to be so great. And you know what I did? I cussed at my dad because I'm like, dude, get your life together. Prove something. Prove to me you're better. Because like, I honestly am kind of scared of the guy just because he's kind of creepy. And he's said also as a kid, like, if I get a boyfriend, he's gonna shoot him. And I was like, and he's like, oh, you're gonna take care of me when you're older. And it's like, no, I'm not. He's like, you're not gonna take care of me. And then he'd also say stuff like, well, I said when I get older, I'm not gonna tell him where I live, and he's just like, well, I have ways of finding out, which I haven't seen him show up in any of my residences so far. So, I hope it stays that way, cause guy's a creep, and he's definitely not a father, and I don't feel like he's a father. Um, wait, do I don't think I've said everything, so I'm trying to think if I can think of anything else that I consider traumatic in my life. Make a little bingo card of traumas and see if I hit them. Here, give me a moment and I'll think. Do-do-do. Shit. I think I need more weed in here. Alright. Well, I'm drawing a blank of any more traumas. Um, I kind of remember like one of my cousins that I really liked who was adopted named Money. Um, um, she like I would see around like on the holidays. She was a bit older, but she was like another like female cousin, and I wanted to, get to know, barely talk to her, but I also remember going over their house. They like lived like down the street from me at my elementary school that I went to till fourth grade. Um, but I remember going over their house, and there was like this one day where, and she was extremely skinny, I'll also point that out. But she asked me to ask her parents, my aunt and whatever, my great aunt, whatever, asked my parents if, say that I'm hungry and that I want some food, okay? And they straight up, they were like, did Money tell you to ask us this? And it's just like, yeah. And then they got upset at her, and I remember her getting hit because, um, don't do that. Don't ask your cousin to ask for food for you because you're hungry, which made me think there's definitely things going on in the house. And you know what? Eventually, she didn't show up to family gatherings anymore, so I assume, was no more in the family. Probably put back up for adoption or whatever is the rumors that I heard from my own grandma. So I think that's what happened, since that was my grandma's sister on my mom's side. So that was honestly a sad experience because I wanted that to be like a potential cousin that I could, be cool with, and it just never happened. Um, let's see. I'm running out. Running out of things I can remember. I did have one, but then I forgot it again. Which, it's probably good for me. I have tried therapy. I actually went to one therapy session in person, and that was $160. So, you know what? I had an HSA at the time, so I did that one time, and then I kind of quit that job. And you know what? I didn't go back because it was expensive. And I probably need to find someone who takes my insurance, because no, I didn't take my insurance there, so. But it was a good experience at least. This is just much cheaper than therapy. Till I find a good one that's free. Leasing insurance, hopefully. I don't know. Or very highly discounted. Let me see. I know. So, oh yeah, here we go. So, so when I graduated, which I graduated a semester early, I was 17. We moved to my mom moved us to the state over and got married to the baby daddy of her youngest daughter, who is almost 14 years younger than me. But got married, and you know how I would say she would be yelling all the time? Well, she didn't yell at us, but she yelled at her husband. Like every single day, yelling at him for something, for this, for that. And eventually, I was down in the basement because that's where I was, sleeping, because I didn't have my own room really, so I slept in the basement. But I was just down there laying around, and here we're fighting again. It was a normal occurrence until I heard him actually yell back, and he hit her. Oh God, I hit myself. Hit her into the trash can, so now she has a giant scar on her. But you know the craziest part? Me in the basement. She walks outside, and I guess she's calling like her friend or something. And you know what she said? I knew I knew he would do that. So you knew he would do that, yet you decided to go and yell into his face, knowing something's going to happen instead of preventing it. And you're doing this in front of little children as well. You're supposed to protect your kids from these experiences, but you're inciting. She's starting like creating these experiences. She's making these choices where her children. Oh my God. Stop it! No! Cinnamon, no! No. You stop. Sorry, dog's barking. But yes, so she's like creating these experiences that kids shouldn't experience, and putting her children in these situations. And it's like, of course, and my younger brother was there as well, and my stepfather at the time's kids was there as well, and we all heard it going on. And then it's just a whole mess. And I was 17, and you know what? I was like, well, eventually, I got called the cops or whatever, and they eventually moved out, so it was just us in this townhome. And I even, I went up to her, and I was just like, I'm getting out of this house, because, I need to get out of here, because it's crazy. There wasn't really any reason to stay with someone who I never had, good experience growing up with, never felt loved, cared for, and it's just one thing after another. And I was like, I'm getting out of this house. And she's like, do it, get out of the house then. And as soon as I turned 18, I drove her car that I put gas into. I drove her car to Starbucks. I had this broken laptop that I managed to get a virus off of. That was my brother's, who went to jail. He's out now, but that was a whole thing as well. jail, drugs, running over a lady, paralyzing her. Yeah. So another thing, Um, but I had his laptop and I completely wiped it, got the virus, but it was like really slow, but I was able to use it to make resume and just job hunt. So I did that and I finally got a job. It was a call center job. Call centers suck, but I got out of it a year later. But yeah, call center job. I was able to get some money. My mom took me to the car place she got her car from, which was like a no credit place, easy to approve, high annual percentage yield, and it's like definitely she got like a referral bonus or something for that, and she wanted me to get the same car she had, but it was an older model, and it's a Chevy Aveo. That thing broke down a few years later before I could even pay it off. So, but I mean, at least that was able to give me good credit, and I had a vehicle, and I got my first apartment, which was a tiny little 400 and something square foot studio, and I moved back into the state that we originally were from, and I got my own little place. It was like 490 or something every month, and like they took like into credit your income as well, so they adjusted it to your income. So I was able to get off on my own, have a little shoebox, and I was honestly really happy with it until I met the alcoholic boyfriend. That's when all that happened. But I was able to get off my feet on my own, and she eventually invited me out to Red Robin's, and we had a talk. Me, her, my younger brother, my younger sister was there, and we had a talk about everything. And I also mentioned just how horrible it was living with her, and she was just like, I was not that bad, was I? And my younger brother was like, yeah, you are. And she also told me that she was very happy that I moved out. So, and how independent I am. Because I had to be, because there was really no one else there for me. Um, so, it was just a very bittersweet thing. And it's like, yeah, I do talk to my mom every now and then, and I do visit as well. But she's now changed to where I don't know if she has the right drugs or something, because I have overheard her talking about like depression meds before or something about it over the phone. But I don't know if she finally found her thing or whatever, but she's much happier. She's a changed woman. So it's very weird seeing her this way. But there are still things that, like, when I go and talk to her about, I can still see it. I can still feel it. It doesn't feel like she's really, there. Like, when I started, like, kind of learning more about myself, and it's like, oh, this, like, me possibly being on the spectrum, possibly having like an attention disorder, like these would explain a lot of hardships I had in school, conversating, like socializing and stuff like that. And then she's just always finds some way to kind of like negate that. Like, she's like, oh, but you had good grades. You were smart. Um, like, you didn't have any issues. You developed on time. um, like, social cues was definitely hard to get. Didn't have really anyone to, like, I don't know, realize I had an issue. I was just quiet. I'm just a quiet kid. It's honestly not because I want to. If I, like, knew how to conversate like I do now, I definitely would have talked more. Um, but, yeah, it's just very weird because, like, she's a changed woman, but, like, talking to her, it just, she doesn't, want to acknowledge anything, or even like, she's still in that there's nothing wrong with you mentality, which I'm not saying like it's a bad thing. It just explains some of the hardships I've been through. And I just wanted her to understand that, but it's more just like, eh, not really. I don't see it type deal. And she was just like, well, go get, tested and, see. Which I looked into it, is expensive. And it's like, who has that money? And then you have to take the time to do it too. So I'll look into it more. But a lot of things involve money. Oh gosh. So, those are some traumas. I don't know if I can think of any crazy other things. There's other things in my life that has happened, but I feel like it's a little too deep to say, just a little too to mention. Um, but really, a lot of it is just me not being heard. I feel honestly like I was always the good, you know, child, quiet child, always in her room child. Oh, look, this she finally came out of her room type child. That was me. The, oh, get her anything for Christmas. She'll be happy with it. She doesn't complain about anything, child. Just accept it and, not hurt anyone's feelings. That is what I need to do, type child. So, that is kind of a bit of my traumatic experiences. Not physical, but definitely a lot of emotional trauma I have been through. I guess a little bonus one now that it popped in my head as well. Um, I remember getting complimented one day at school, and I was so happy about this compliment because I don't get compliments. I mean, now I do, which is nice. People are very nice nowadays, but back then I didn't get a lot of compliments, and I got a compliment, and I got like really excited, and I came home and was like, "Oh, today this person complimented me on this. She said she really liked my blah blah blah," and I told my mom, and she goes, "Mm." Like, she's probably just making fun of you. So, if I get a compliment, I'm just probably just making fun of it. Being made fun of, you know? Yeah. Okay, so that was this little bonus one. This has been a long talk. I'm gonna try to cut out a bunch of the blank spaces that I can. I think I'm gonna take another piece of my chocolate and just relax and get some sleep because I just got off work and I got my doggies and they've been crackheads this entire time as well. And I got one crying over here because she wants attention, which I guess I'll have to give her attention because he's my baby. Um, but that is all the trauma that I can remember. There are a bunch of bits and pieces that are blanks, that are empty, that I kind of really don't remember. And it's just like, do I want to? I probably don't. But yeah, those are my traumatic experiences, or what I feel like was traumatic experiences. Are they valid? You be the judge, but really, it's just what, I feel like stuck with me. And I'm still chugging along. I am still working on things myself. I definitely feel like I probably have like a chronic depression thingy or something, just with how often I've gotten depressed as well, and the way my family is, and how someone tried to unalive themselves. Yeah, probably runs in the family. Maybe. And the alcohol and the drugs is what keeps us moving, I guess. But yeah, I'm actually gonna go chill, get some rest, and eat, and get some good sleep. So I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you smoked and chilled with me. Oh, my eyes open up. That's kind of also why I stopped smoking, because like I'm very chill now. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it's not really a good video to enjoy, but it's like these things have happened in the past, but they're not happening now. So it's just like it kind of just feels like telling a story. It's a story. You know, it's not real now per sense, I guess. But yeah, I don't know if anyone relates or went through anything similar. Bits and pieces, lots of rambling, but yeah. That is my trauma dump. Let me put it in the bowl, make my little salad, and go. You guys have a great day, and There'll be more videos to come, of course. Who knows what I'll do next.